Okay, this is JD part 2. Still telling you about me. Okay, my first foster family, they were a nice family. They were actually very, very nice. They were real farmers. And, we got to milk cows and drink fresh milk. I got to actually drive a tractor. So I was old enough, but I remember he had to basically prop it and something. I got to drag brush on the fields to level them for planting. I got to ride with him on seed planters when we plant the corn in the fields. He had this machine, throw these big bag of seeds in, and you just drag it. It makes the mounds and puts the corn seeds in. I've got to help him plant potatoes. Actually, planting potatoes, if you do it right, you only need to plant them 1 year, and you'll have potatoes forever. I got to do other things. I got to work with him. Got to get honey out of a beehive. Oh, that funny story. Sometime maybe on campaign trail I'll tell you about my brother and the beehives. And I didn't spend a lot of time there. It was sometime like late May or something, early May or April when we went there. Because we were Roman Catholic and they were Protestant, we couldn't stay there. Wish we could have. They were very, very nice people. Not the same, though, for the second family I went to. Second family I went to, they were Roman Catholic. And they were, quote, unquote, very strict religious people. There, I made my first communion, and I made my confirmation into, first communion for the Roman, and confirmation. And they lived such a structured life that the military would be radical. It was everything every day. If it was Monday, this would happen. Tuesday, etc. Me and my brother sat at a separate table, and a girl. We were the foster kids, off to the side. Those little tables kids have to play. We sat at that table. That's where we ate. I think that's where I learned to hate hot dogs. I don't like hot dogs at all. I won't eat them. Now, I don't know why, because when I was home with my mother, sometimes all we had was a pot of beans. And she would take and make a pot of beans, and that would have to last us a week. And a lot of times it did. But I learned to hate hot dogs. I think that's weird, because I think I had a lot of hot dogs. Beans didn't bother me, but hot dogs. I won't eat hot dogs, hardly at all. And they're one of those people that take in foster children to make money. They have a noble cause. Notice I put my fingers up. See, noble cause. But the truth of the matter is, it's very selfish. When I left there with the clothes on my back. They said I didn't have nothing. A couple years later, when we finally got to see my mother, several years later, my brother was still there, and he was wearing the clothes that were my clothes when I was there. And I told my social worker that. And he was a little surprised. I said, those are my clothes. Those were mine. He said, no, they said you had no clothes. I said, no, I did. When I left there with nothing. Basically, they said I broke all my toys, things like that, etc., etc., etc. Okay? But, needless to say, it wasn't a very nice foster home. And luckily, through my traveling of several foster homes, that was the worst. My sister, who was much more defiant, could not be in any foster homes, and ended up in orphanages. Cookie. Then I went to another foster home, and I went to parochial school. And there I did quite well. Became super religious. I was going to be a priest. Yeah, make a priest. And what I know about me now, that would have been an interesting priest. And I do have a very strong religious background. But I don't believe in going to church on Sunday. And believe me, while I was in parochial school, I went to church enough to make up for a whole lifetime of Sunday going to churches. Then went to from there. I went to another foster home, and that one was interesting because there I got to see prejudice. The principal at the school I went to, I was a foster kid, and I mean that was a dirty word, foster kid. I was the student patrol on the bus, but because I was a foster kid, she had it took away. I was the only student patrol on the bus. My bus driver went to the school, and he was told plain and simple, she will not have a foster kid as a student patrol in her school. When I first went there, they put me in this class of special ed kids, or today I think they're called learning disabled. And I left the parochial school where I was already starting algebra. I was in 5th grade and I was already into algebra. Science and algebra and math, I excelled at. English, I'm very weak at. And spelling, I am the worst speller in the world. I was the last one picked to do the spelling, but when they line up in the class, and always the first one to sit down. Matter of fact, one time, I remember, and it was comical because I had the word banana and I spelt it right. And the nun said, okay, wrong, sit down, Jim. And they said, no, he spelled it right. I had to spell it 4 times before she believed I spelled it right. And I got to stay up there for a second round. But don't worry, second round, I fell down. Sat back to my seat. I think that was the only time I wasn't the first person to sit down in spelling. I am the world's worst speller. I do have dyslexia, extreme dyslexia according to the Navy. If I wasn't so intelligent, I would never graduate from high school, never mind do college prep courses. Well, that foster family, then I went to my last foster family. They were kind of half farmers, half, he worked at Electric Boat, where they build naval vessels, and we had horses. We even had a cow that we butchered. I had rabbits. We had chickens, dogs, cats, hundreds of cats. I knew it was like to catch the bus at 7 o'clock. I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning. Between feeding the animals, letting them all out, and all that. That's okay until the wintertime. You know what it's like in Connecticut at 3:30 in the morning going outside? You have no idea how cold it is until you do something like that. The Wyndham rabbit out of Connecticut, that breed of rabbit is actually a thing that I did. I had some Belgians and some big whites, and I put them together, and I got what they call the Wyndham rabbit. My claim to fame. And basically that's about it with my foster families. Better stop.